To call the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee to order. It is March 21st, 2024. Courtesy of the floor.
I do have something, ma'am. It has come to my attention an issue with respect to sludge and farmland preservation has arisen. I first want to say, myself personally and my administration are very skeptical about the use of biosolids in farming. And we have consistently messaged that we are very concerned about sludge. And we're very concerned about sludge, the nuisance effect that the use of sludge has on its neighbors, the potential corruption of the soil and eventually the soil that washes into the rivers, causing environmental degradation. So we're very concerned about all of that. Some may even refer to us as being anti-sludge. However, sludge biosolids in Pennsylvania are legal. It's called the Right to Farm Act, and the Right to Farm Act has been reviewed by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and to this day the precedent is that the right to spread biosolids or sludge exists in our law. So there's very little we can do to prevent the spread of sludge or biosolids on farmland in Northampton County because of the Right to Farm Act. So if you want the Right to Farm Act to change with respect to biosolids or sludge, you have to get your legislators to change the law. Our state representatives need to be specifically contacted and requested to change the law if that's something you and your constituents, I know it's something I want to do, if something you and your constituents want to do. Our legislators cannot have a free ride on this issue. However, I believe in handling our own business, and one of the things I did many years ago was establish a voluntary program in our farmland preservation program, whereby everybody who comes into our farmland preservation program is given the opportunity to voluntarily agree not to spread biosolids or sludge. And that voluntary program has been very successful with respect to new applicants agreeing voluntarily, because we can't force them to, they have the right to do it, voluntarily agreeing not to spread biosolids or sludge. So the initial phase of that program has been very successful. Unfortunately, the follow-through, the updating, if you will, our Farmland Preservation Division has not done their job with respect to following up on those who voluntarily agreed not to spread biosolids. So they need to do a better job doing that, our farmland preservation folks. We are making sure they do. So we'll actually have evidence, data, if you will, about farmers who are and are not using biosolids who are in our farmland preservation program. But the specific issue has arisen that and some of you who have been sitting here for a while know this, a farm was purchased, I believe, in Plainfield Township by the Nazareth Water Authority, and part of their plan is to spread the effluent that's produced in their system on this farm. Unfortunately, it is legal to do so under the Right to Farm Act if certain criteria is met, even if it's a preserved farm. So they bought the farm with the conservation easement on it. They own it. They own it with the conservation easement on it. They are subject to that conservation easement, but as long as they keep a certain percentage of that farm under cultivation, they can take their waste and dump it there. And that's very unfortunate. I wish I could stop it, but I can't. All we can do going forward into the future, and we do this now, but with respect to that particular farm in Plainfield, inspect it to make sure that the actual farming compared to the regulations is taking place. And if it's not, there are things we can do subsequent to that, but that is the limit of the county's power. The state has to change the law. Thank you.
Moving on, discussion regarding community solar legislation. Community solar is also called solar gardens and also shared renewables. It allows community members to directly participate in and receive the benefits from a solar project connected to their local electric distribution company's grid. People who might want to use this are renters, people who don't have a large roof big enough to benefit from all the solar from their solar panels, or just lack of sun, depending on what way your roof faces, or because of trees. This bill removes an existing policy barrier and will allow anyone who wants to utilize it the opportunity to do so. There's many benefits. It saves consumers and businesses money on their electric bills. It creates a pathway for low and moderate income residents to enjoy the benefits of solar because they may not have the money for the upfront costs. It increases the amount of clean, pollution-free energy coming into the grid. It promotes good land use decisions. Solar gardens can be located on rooftops, brownfields, parking lots, and reclaimed mining lands. And it creates local jobs through the entire solar supply chain, installers, contractors, investors, and site preparation. Currently, there are 24 states that have enacted legislation for community solar, including our neighboring states, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, for a few. But despite the efforts in Harrisburg, this topic is at a standstill. I would like to show our support to get this legislation passed. I hope you will review the state co-sponsorship memorandum from the Senators Brown and Shirer and the 2 articles that I provided to you. Community solar would be a benefit to Northampton County, and I hope you'll review the materials and we can move forward with it.
Do you want to really
Commissioner
quick?
Warren.
Thank you. I wish this was something we could just implement here at the county, but once again, as the county executive was just saying with regard to biosolids and sludge, you need the Pennsylvania State General Assembly to move. You need them to act. And I like to think that for the majority of the time, our Lehigh Valley legislative delegation generally works well together. And Mr. Heckman, you've been around long enough to know that they generally do in terms of, and in terms of trying to do what's best for our area. So whether we're talking about the biosolids and sludge, or we're talking about community solar and how it can really benefit us, I think it's important every now and again when this council believes that there is an issue that Harrisburg really should be dealing with, that we can shoot off our state legislators a resolution. I don't anticipate us doing this every single meeting by any stretch of the imagination, but with issues that really do impact our local communities and can benefit residents, can benefit businesses, I think it's important for us to take those stands because, again, I think sending messages, positive messages from this dais and from this council chamber is very important for us to do in the future. I very much would support a resolution going to our state legislators with regard to this. And again, like the manufactured homes lot fee cap resolution that's on our agenda for later this evening, this is bipartisan, just like that is. This is a bipartisan issue. It doesn't matter what party you are. A lot of folks really think this is a great idea for our local community. So I'm hoping our state legislature will bring this up at some point in the future and get the ball rolling, because it can only help our residents and businesses here in the county.
Thank you. Lori? Or I'm sorry, Commissioner Varga.
No, Lori's fine too. Since Senator Brown is so close by and Rep. Swire, is it possible to have them come and speak on this at your next meeting? I mean, obviously, if they're not in session and they're right here,
I could try and contact them.
let them know that we're interested and anything they want to come and contribute is welcome.
Anybody else on this topic? Okay, moving on. Discussion regarding DCNR grant applications. Mr. Coe?
Good evening. Before you tonight, there's two resolutions for two DCNR grants that we would like to apply for. As we've done in the past, council needs to pass a resolution to show support as a commitment for funding that needs to be applied for our DCNR grants. The first one is an update to our livable landscapes plan. It was originally adopted nearly 10 years ago. It was 2015. And since then, I can really say about 95 to 98% of those goals and recommendations have been implemented and actionable and constructed in our county parks and others. So we're looking at updating that plan for the next 10 years, looking at challenges and additional projects that we would be facing and trying to run through. It's been extremely successful to get grants with the plan, with the goals and recommendations that we've had in those plans. So it's kind of a comprehensive plan as is in the planning world. It's our Park Rec Open Space Comprehensive Plan that we'd be updating. The next one is the trail or the archery complex trail and rehab that within the Mincy Lake Corridor plan that was adopted a few years ago, recommendations came out of that. And one was to update the archery complex and the existing boardwalk that was built back in the 1970s with the Youth Corps and some of the other trails in that complex. We're looking at a large-scale restoration rehabilitation project with that. We would be going for $550,000 for DCNR funds. We're looking at $1 million project. The boardwalk itself is not cheap. We're looking probably over $750,000 to repair that with ADA accessible areas and connections into the existing areas that we have. The good thing is we don't have to include the archery range complex into this grant. The 400 program that was just adopted, that's going through the state right now through the Game Commission, they will be totally redoing that archery complex as part of the 400 program, adding additional parking and ADA accessible ramps and parking in that immediate area. So that takes a significant cost off of us, and we can really focus in on the trails and the boardwalk that really needs to get fixed up. So those are the two resolutions we have for DCNR grants this year.
Any questions? Okay. Go ahead.
No, no, yeah, yeah. I think I'm on the command for sure. Brian, when are they going to do that with archery? When are they planning on?
So nothing can really get started until probably June or July when the contract is signed and the Game Commission's budget is in a July or June calendar. So hopefully by early fall, that's one of the first projects that they're looking to get done. June, July, August, sometime hopefully get started.
Yeah, because at archery spaces.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mr. Heckman?
Yeah, hi, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, thank you for the report, particularly on Bear Swamp. I've had some of my up-county friends or peeps, I asked them if they'd be, nowadays it's a team, so I said, would you be a member of Team Ron? And they said, as long as I don't have to vote for you. I said, fair enough. But I'm glad you brought this up because I've had a lot of questions about when we're going to get to work on the Safe Read complex, and you've clarified that. So just to humor me, so I understand, we're applying for a $550,000 grant. The project in total, when you're all said and done at some point, you're looking at it probably be valued at around $1 million, including the grant.
Just what we would look to do for this grant portion, which is about 1,500 square feet or lineal feet of some trails that would connect to the west shore of Mincy, the south side where the archery complex is, redo that. And then the boardwalk, I believe, is over 7,000 feet. So it's a large scale. So
That's the section that runs behind
the old
archery
nature center.
that used to have 3D targets at one time.
No, it's actually on the opposite side of where the Olympic field is.
Yes.
And then the boardwalk, the boardwalk that goes through the swamp.
Yes.
In the very back, that's what we would look to replace.
Okay.
And then where the archery, the 3D range is, There's plans to redo that 3D range, but to get across the power lines would be the first kind of step to make those trails accessible into the back area.
So, I mean, even if we ended 3D archery, 'cause, you know, I know whenever you're doing archery, it's a safety issue and whatnot. That was always a great trail just to walk, you know, I mean, and the pallets were there, the whole bit. I was on that trail many times. So that's part of the plan, though, at some point, is to actually make that a better.
Yes, the trail portion of that 3D archery is part of this
Okay.
scope of work.
And you mentioned, now what was you said 400,000, or the 400 plan, what was that again? The
That's-
state?
That was the Game Commission land management agreement that was just passed.
Okay.
That you approved by ordinance for the county executive to sign.
Yeah.
So right now, it's with the Game Commission, they have to sign it, and the Commonwealth Chief Counsel has to sign as well. So it might take a few months.
Yeah, I get it. But,
for that.
so we're looking, how much are we looking to get from that?
It's optional. There's that grant or that contract, it opens it up for additional foundational funds that the Game Commission oversees that we would be eligible for
to-
over the next term of that contract.
apply for?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it not even really apply. They would do the work. They do the bidding, they do the restoration, they do all of the work through that contract. Whatever those areas were under that contract, they're eligible to do those programs for us. So the archery complex is one that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing parking access points throughout those areas, putting a brand-new archery range at Wayne Group, doing meadow restoration. So there's a lot of restoration, wildlife habitat improvement, and some of the additional, like the archery
Really,
ranges.
an archery range at Wayne Grove, where would that go?
Up top by the maintenance area.
Okay.
So, and then behind that would be a 7-acre native meadow restoration project, and that would hopefully get started this year as well.
I know some people that would say you could use the FedEx building as an archery
Sure.
target. But anyway, okay, well, thank you. You've answered the question, and I can relay this now to my team. Thank you very much. Team Ron. Hey, everybody is a team now.
Any other questions regarding the grant applications? Okay, moving on to the discussion regarding a memorial bench donation.
This is a pretty simple one as well. It's the family, the original family that had the Louise Moore Park land before they sold it to Hugh. Their grandson is now the father of their son who just passed away recently. They'd like to put a donation towards a memorial bench within the park, and this is what that resolution is for.
Any questions? Comments? Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn? All right, very good. Thank you.
That had to be the shortest energy, environment, land use meeting I have ever attended.